Hi, welcome to the Blind and Unfiltered podcast. I'm your host, Vivian, and today we have a guest, Trevor. We're going to be talking about college, job hunting, Thanksgiving, and anything and everything that needs to be unfiltered in this episode. So, Trevor, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Of
Excited to
course.
chat.
So, how was your Thanksgiving?
It was a mixed bag of emotions and pretty good food.
That's
Luckily,
always good, right?
exactly. I was full, and luckily the drama didn't happen until the end when we were leaving. So,
Hey, Thanksgiving, it isn't Thanksgiving without the drama.
exactly. And luckily it wasn't politically charged drama, which is harder to deal with. It was just good old American family dysfunction.
And were you tasked with anything like making the turkey?
No, 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 no. My blind self is not going to be making a turkey. My brother, I'm the youngest of six, and my oldest brother, he hosted our Thanksgiving, and he smoked the turkey.
Oh, that sounds so good.
It was pretty good. I'm a turkey fan myself.
I
Some
love
people
turkey.
aren't.
It just depends how it's made. Like, you know how sometimes you get a dry turkey and it's not that great.
Yeah, and I always tell people that it's just depends on the person and how they make it.
Right.
It's got to be made well.
I know. Did you travel to see your family?
I did. I'm from North Carolina, but we traveled to Johnson City, Tennessee.
Okay, okay. Yeah. So there was no like going on the plane, train, or none of that.
No, we drove. It was stressful because family, but it's in driving distance. I think it's like 2.5 hours away, almost three.
I always think about when I'm gonna make a turkey. I'm like, ew, I don't like touching raw meat. So like looking at the
Me
big old
neither.
turkey is like, oh. I remember when I touched it when I was little, and I was like, dude, this is. I put some orange juice inside of it, and I was like, I don't
Ugh.
know, I don't know, but
I
yeah,
have sensory things, so yeah, I don't like the feel of raw meat either. Ugh.
yeah, I don't like touching. Yeah, speaking of sensory, yeah, like I feel like it's a blind thing. Like when your hands are dirty, or if you're cooking or cleaning, and you get something in your hands, it's like I gotta wash them.
I wash my hands constantly, and I half relate it to a little bit of OCD and also blindness. I feel like losing my vision has caused it to be a lot worse.
Yeah. Have you ever got the question, do you think you hear better because you're blind?
Of course, of course, of course. And this is my on it. I tell them, no, I do not believe my hearing got better. I just got more used to paying attention to things.
Yeah, I think that's what it is, just paying more attention to your surroundings. So you got to be more aware of it all.
Exactly. So I feel like if any skill is enhanced, it's my spatial and just overall awareness. Not that I somehow have bionic hearing.
You just got to pay attention to just knowing where you're at all times, the surroundings, listen to practically everything.
Yeah, it's so crucial. It's probably one of the main skills they teach you when you're going through orientation and mobility training is to pay attention to what you hear, to how the traffic's going, all that.
Haven't you ever heard a bunch of people that I know that are blind or visually impaired and they're like, I walk with my AirPods, and I'm like, I mean, I know they have that noise cancellation and they have like so you could still hear, but still, I feel like it's kind of scary.
I'll have them in, and if I know that I'm around anything where I have to like cross the road or I need to really pay attention to the cars, I'll take one out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, that's a good idea. I guess just to be listening to what podcasts, music, whatever.
Exactly.
So
But
tell me
if
about,
I'll never have all of them just plug in my ears because there's some spots you gotta pay attention.
yeah, for real, like the busy intersections or when it's raining, anything, anytime like that.
Exactly.
Tell me about college. How was that? Going into college and signing up for classes.
Yeah, college, and hopefully I will be back in college before long in grad school. But my college experience, I went to community college first, got two associates, and then went to my 4 year. And all throughout college, I will say, I actually gave a speech about my experiences with ableism throughout school.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that college was both better than going through public school and also still a bit worse because, like, even though there was, policies and systems in place where I got appropriate accommodations, I still had to fight for it. I still had teachers that tried to either outright refuse to accommodate, or some of them were even just so out of touch that they had to be explained to that my book was my tablet or my computer.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I always thought it was so funny. There's this one experience where in the middle of class I had to explain to a teacher that if I put away my tablet, because she was asking everybody to put away their technology and take out their book, then I wouldn't have my book, and she was dumbfounded.
Oh my gosh, they don't understand that everything's in your tablet, like your
Yeah, she did not
accessibility.
understand.
I never had those issues. I think more of it was like getting your tests in time and just
Yeah.
taking them at the right moments.
Yeah, that was somewhat difficult part at times because trying to get everything set up, making sure they had the space for you, especially if you're in a bigger school, it can be hard to get your testing scheduled around the right times. But I always usually figured it out in my experience. My disability resources office was great.
Yeah, I think they were pretty great too because if you told them if you, I mean, sometimes I would just totally forget, life, and I'd be like, oh my God, I have to schedule my test because if I don't schedule when to take it, that's on me. That wasn't nobody
Yeah,
else, but I think
definitely been there too.
that's where issues. Did you have to travel to school or did you get driven over there?
I lived on campus. Well, when it was community college, I had to be driven, and then when it was 4 year, I lived on campus in not in the dorms, but in apartments.
Oh, nice.
I definitely preferred how freeing it was in the during my 4 year degree because I could one the area of my campus versus like my hometown. My alma mater is in my hometown. The hometown is not accessible. There's not
Right.
good sidewalks. There's barely public transportation. The bus system is a bit of a joke. But on the campus for the university, it was very accessible from there being buses to take me all around or just really good sidewalks and audible crosswalks so I could just learn how to walk to certain places.
Speaking of audible lights, that is something that I really, really like living in the city and just having that, not thinking about, the traffic cycles.
Yeah,
That is really great. Well, that
they
is,
were excellent. Excellent help because you don't get that in all places.
you don't, honestly, and you know how some streets sometimes they don't have all these cars, so you have to really pay attention. It's like, should I go? Should I not? But then you just have to be like, oh, whatever, I'm just gonna go, even if the light is red, if it's quiet, just go, I guess.
Exactly.
But other than that, did you have roommates in your dorm or apartment?
I did. My first year of university, I moved when I started university, went on campus, I moved out of my parents' place at about 23, something like that. And I had one roommate. He was also blind and visually impaired, but he didn't last long. You know, drama at times, and then he got a girlfriend and moved out, but that was okay because we had separate leases, so I didn't like get penalized for suddenly him not living there and not paying his side of the rent. So always get separate leases if you can.
Of course.
Absolutely. So for over a year, I had like a 2 bedroom apartment all to myself because he was never there. It was kind of rad,
That is
honestly.
awesome. You don't have to worry about like cleaning and just trying to split the chores or trying to figure out who's taking the bathroom. Well, you guys are guys, but for ladies, we have to be like, oh, what time are you going to use the restroom?
Yeah, there definitely were issues. There were still issues with like privacy because at times he wouldn't tell me when he was popping over because he still had keys and some stuff there and whatnot.
Right, right.
And it made for some really awkward situations at times. I won't go into
All
it,
right.
but oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh, that is something that I could just imagine, like just popping in, out of nowhere, or your roommate walks in, I don't know, you could be doing who knows what, and it's like, shoot, like, could give me a heads up, text message, something, right?
never had the thought to give me a text message.
Oh my God, no way. I had a bunch of roommates when I used to go to community college and talk about craziness. They were like we were like 7, 8 roommates in one apartment.
Dang,
So
you were all crowded in there.
think about that. That was no privacy, and yeah, like it was a pretty like a frat, literally a frat house, a frat house.
Yeah, that's how I would describe the third place I lived. Right after that, moving out of there, I moved into a single studio, but ended up having to move from that place the next year and then went from no roommates basically, other than one briefly, to having five other roommates that I did not get to choose.
Oh my gosh, 5 other ones? No way.
Yeah. And by this time I was in like I was going into my mid 20s. So I was the oldest in the house other than one guy who was a traveling nurse and he was like, my dad's age, but I don't really count him because he wasn't a student. All the other students, they were like freshmen and oh boy, it isn't I don't think it was avoidable because I was the oldest, but I just automatically became like the house dad.
Yeah, same. I feel like when you're older, I mean, you have more, you're a little more responsible. You got to be like, hey, you got to do this, you got to do that. Then people
hmm
be like, you're bossy.
I had to break up fights. I had to play mediator. Oh my goodness, there was stories. I had to keep them from tearing each other apart at times. Y'all think
That is,
that some people think that guys are so easy going, easy to live with? Not true.
that's what I would think, actually. I never see guys really get crazy. Or is there a certain story that is you would like to share about that?
Sure, why not? One time there was this fight, and it was so funny because it was all about burnt cookies.
Okay.
There was almost an actual fight, and it was all about burnt cookies. Well, basically, one roommate made cookies in the oven, right? For
Right.
some reason, he decided he was going to store those cookies in the oven. Second roommate comes along, doesn't check the oven, turns it on, burns them. For some reason decides to toss the cookies instead of into the trash, just onto our porch area. I don't know why he did that. Never,
What?
never has, but I was so confused of why he did that. He just tossed them outside, not in the grass, not in the trash, just on our like concrete porch area. And then he gets all pissed. The other one gets ticked off too, because his cookies were burnt, and they literally almost got into a fight. This one kid who's an athlete is banging on this rich kid's door, telling him to get out of here, come out, or whatever he was threatening. And the other kid was just locking himself in his room. I had to mediate and clean up the mess and then calm everybody down, bring everybody to a little bit more peace. And that day, I was like, wow, I am really being tested for being good at being a therapist one day.
Yeah, yeah. I actually did see that in your bio that you were gonna be a therapist. How was that? Like, what was the reason you decided to switch majors?
I originally was going to be, when I like first started school, I had two options well, actually three options I was mowing over. I started going to school to for culinary, but then I lost my vision
Hmm.
and I lost more of my vision. And then I was gonna be a choir teacher, but personal stuff happened with my mom and my own mental health struggles that made me see I needed to be a helper instead of a teacher. I was meant to be like someone really helping people through their worst moments.
So that's the reason you thought I think I'm gonna be a therapist. I think that is something like when you go through hard things, like you would realize that because that's how I felt like going into wanting to be a therapist myself and trying to do psychology. That's what always ran through my mind.
Yeah, exactly. I Everything that I've been through definitely has been a motivator to want to be someone that can help uh, guide someone through those type of experiences, or at least give them some helping advice or tools for coping with them, stuff like addiction and mental illness. I mean, there are therapists um, and other helping professions go down the list. There are ones that don't have lived experience, but I
Right.
think when you do have lived experience, you have a unique understanding and perspective to the situations that you can bring, and I think it helps with connecting with people.
I think that is true because when you could be a therapist, but you don't understand like what people you just read the books and followed the directions and you're just looking at your notes. Whereas if you went through experience, you could really be, I understand where you're coming from. Instead of just, telling somebody what they need to do, you could tell them a little bit about, your story without being, too detailed about it.
Exactly. And that's not to say that those that haven't experienced a particular situation can't be effective therapists or helpers of someone going through something. But I just think you bring something more unique when you can relate to someone.
I think so too. And you were saying that, you lost your vision gradually. How was that?
Well, I've had vision problems my whole life. I have optic nerve hypoplasia,
Right.
and I also suffered a TBI to basically to my optic nerve area when I was 5, and a bunch of other health issues like rare kidney disorder that I had to get a type of chemotherapy for, and also I had to be revived twice because of a lot of health issues that I think affected my vision over time. I think they all kind of probably had a hand in it. But at 22, it got to the point where like already had trouble like seeing people's faces, and like for years when I was a kid, they kept giving me stronger and stronger eyeglass prescriptions, and I always still complained that they didn't help. Like they'd put me at the front of the class, and I'd still say I couldn't see the board, but they a long time just kind of thought I was a kid being stubborn because I didn't want to look like a nerd wearing my
Right.
glasses. But I was literally like, these don't help. I can't see. Can you still hear me? I accidentally clicked my glasses.
Yes, I could hear you.
Okay, good. Sorry, I was worried. I was
No
like, didn't know if
problem.
that muted it. And when I was around 20, 22, 23, they got it got really bad to the point like I could no longer see my feet. I couldn't see that far. My left eye was worse than my right eye at the time, and I stopped being able to really make out people's faces. My eyes hurt extremely bad from like the from light and the sun more than it had ever had. I would say because my light sensitivity have gotten really bad. And then I went to the doctor, and they figured that my vision from all these things combined, but maybe probably um the late effects of my kidney disorder and whatnot, making my vision get gradually worse over time. So once that happened, I tried to get myself. I tried my best to just accept it, but it was really hard in the beginning. It was really hard to accept and know. Well, what do I do now? Where do you go to for someone to tell you what you're supposed to do blind
Right.
or with low and progressively worsening vision? And luckily there was one person at my school that I knew who was blind, and I asked. He's the one that became my roommate, but we ended up drifting apart. But he did help. He pointed me toward Division of the Blind, and I started getting O&M and got my first cane and all that. So I would say it was a very rushed but very streamlined transition because they didn't like I had to get the main things first, and I'm still like to this day trying to get all the skills that a blind person needs down. Like I want to get better in the kitchen. I never got to learn braille because they couldn't find a local teacher. So still on the journey of becoming the best blind person, I guess.
Of course, of course. I think, yeah, we're all just learning, like people say, and it's crazy how, yeah, some cities and towns are so inaccessible, and to think that we have to still, struggle with that, and there's never people think, oh, why do a lot of blind people, why don't they ever finish college? Well, that may be the reason they don't know where to go. They're freshly like blind because not everybody is born blind and they don't have the resources.
Exactly. It's some town. If I didn't at least have the resources offered to me by Division of the Blind, I don't think I would have been able to get through community college because my town's transportation issues, and I didn't have reliable transportation all the time friends or family. So they started getting me there. There was one in my town, in rural North Carolina. There was one taxi service. It was called Freedom Taxi, and it was ran by one old man. So for a while, that was my transportation, and they paid for it, which was a godsend. It was
Wow, that's nice.
a really good resource until I didn't need it when I went on campus. But if it wasn't for that, I don't think I would have gotten through. And there's some areas that don't even have that. Like there's no paratransit like in other states in my area.
Yeah, we have that, which is good, but it's still really slow and it's not I feel like it's not that reliable. But I think have you heard that in Colorado and all these other towns you get 60, I think 60 free rides to and from work?
It's wow, that's know I don't know how I feel about it being limited, but if most programs are limited, I guess 60 is a pretty good number.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm like, dude, if I can get someone to take me to work and come back, that would be amazing. Like, you don't have to think, okay, paratransit, you gotta take the shuttle or transportation like at
They'll take you
5
straight
p.m.
there, straight back.
Yeah, you just sit down, maybe take a little nap and do what you gotta do, start cooking or
I would love that.
yeah, that would
I can't wait to. I love Western North Carolina, but I can't wait to live in an area that has better accessibility. I've traveled a lot, so I've seen a lot of cities that are much better. I'm like, wow, it's so easy to get around.
speaking, yeah, of traveling, how is your travel skills?
I think my travel skills are pretty good. I would say that my biggest advice to anybody who wants to get better at traveling is find any sort of opportunity, however you can, to do so, because that's the best teacher. Like I gotten all the orientation mobility, which has laid the foundation of my traveling skills, but going to conferences, public speaking and whatnot, going through airports, the experience of it has really been a great teacher. And I would say I'm actually going to make a video about this at some point in the next few days because I've been seeing a lot of people in the blind community talking about travel. And I always tell people that my experience is dependent on which airport we're talking about and which airline.
Right.
Like there's some airports and some airlines like you are good. We are Gucci. Their service is wonderful. They get me to and from. They help me to my seat. But then there's airports like Boston Logan International, who on two different occasions now has the an employee whose job it was to escort me and help me get to my flight safely has just randomly dumped me on a poor, unexpected civilian, both times someone from a completely different country. So they're either moving here or going back home, and suddenly they have this little blind American that an employee just told them that they have to help, and I feel so bad each time.
Oh
The
my
first
gosh.
time, yeah, the first time, oh my God, I felt so bad, but this lady was so sweet. The first time it was a Korean lady and her son who were visiting Boston and heading back, and the the mom didn't speak much English. Luckily, the son, I would assume, was around 12. He did, so he kind of translated, and they helped me find help because a Uber driver didn't know the airport, didn't take me to my gate, and then just left me in the parking lot. And I had to struggle my way to find a door and flag someone down. I just asked the first person I heard walking by, and it was that lady and her son, and they helped me get someone to help me. Um, it was not fun. I felt so bad to have to ask them to do that.
I can't imagine just getting thrown in the middle of a parking lot and be like, okay, well, I'm gonna go. I don't know, like just leaving you there. Or it's just so big, you could be been left off like way who knows where, and it
Exactly.
probably took you a while.
It did, and like some airports are like big enough to be mini cities. They're huge, and like when I ended up missing my flight at that point. I got it rebooked for a couple hours later, but I ended up missing the flight because after getting help and getting someone to escort me, I didn't check my bag because we were like really late, and we got to the gate with 1 minute to spare. But the person on the plane would not let me on because of my bag needed to be checked and the plane was full, whatever. But on the way back, I had a weird situation. The lady helped me get to sit down, and like she had asked me if I had any money for to give her for a coffee, and I said, I don't really carry cash. And I was trying to think. I was like, well, I can get us one at Starbucks. But then she sort of kind of acted like I was I was being rude by not having cash. Like she got a little upset with me and was like, no, 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 it's okay, it's okay. Never mind. Like she was a little bit annoyed with me. I was like, what? I'm sorry, I don't carry cash.
The lady that was helping you?
Yeah, she got annoyed with me, and I was like, that's like I wouldn't have minded buying us a coffee, but that is your job. You're paid to do, and I don't know if you have an extra money to tip someone that's helping you at an airport, I'm sure they wouldn't say no and probably would appreciate it, but I don't think it's something that should be expected of us. What do you think?
Yeah, like sometimes they expect, yeah, but I think that if you want to get tipped, like if you want really like somebody to give you money, yeah, I think it's also the service, like yeah, you're pushing me around a big airport, it's a lot of work, but you gotta be like, kind and all that because I remember I was on the airport, I think the Oakland one, which is pretty small, and this guy, he was helping me. I was like, I would like to go to Subway. And I paid for my sandwich and the guy saw him helping me. He got a free sandwich. That was probably like his tip right there.
Yeah, that's a pretty good tip, a free sandwich.
A free Subway, and Subway is like up there now.
Yeah, there no five
No
dollar
more
foot no
$5
no
foot
more
long.
$5 foot longs. Mm-mm.
More like
It's
$15 foot long.
yeah, $50 foot longs. That's what you're paying these days. So that was a
Yeah.
good tip. I'd been happy.
Yeah, I really love those breakfast foot longs though.
Oh yeah.
They're-
But the other situation where Logan International Airport led me astray and made things really hard was the most recent time that I went to Boston. And again, an employee just randomly tossed me off on a random civilian. But this started where I got help. I got the Uber driver got me into the right gate, and I got help right away, and everything was going smoothly. But the person that was helping me ended up taking me to the wrong place. I needed to go where Ubers and Lyfts pick up, but
Right.
she had asked me, do I need to go where the buses are? I said I needed to be where the Ubers and Lyfts pick up, and she asked me again, and I confirmed, yeah, Uber and Lyft, that's where I needed to go. But she ended up taking me where the buses picked up, and I was standing there for a while after she had left, and I'd realized that from the messages my Uber driver was sending me that he didn't see me and I was clearly in the wrong place. So I flagged another employee down. I heard someone helping another person, and I said, "Hey, excuse me, I need some help. I've been brought to the wrong place. I need to catch an Uber. My Uber driver's here. I just need someone to help me get there." He first says that he will need to call someone, but then decides to start taking me himself, and he takes me to this elevator and sees this guy and just randomly assigns me to him and says, "Hey, can you take him? Are you going to where the Ubers and Lyfts go?" And the guy said, "Yeah." He said, "Here, help him." So I'm dumped off again on a random civilian, and I felt so bad. This guy, he was moving here from India to go to school, and he had just been on like however long. It's a long flight from India to Boston, like 15 hours or so. So he'd just been on a 15-hour flight. He didn't get any sleep, he had said, because there was a crying baby. That's always, rough,
Yeah.
especially on a long flights. I felt bad, and he wasn't like rude. He didn't make me try to make me feel bad for the situation, but I felt bad that, it's not I should be being helped by an employee, not a random
Right.
civilian. It's not their job to look out for me. While I do appreciate both of those individuals who did help, and that whole day was rough because get when I finally got to get through TSA, they flagged me, and I didn't know why. They had to do where if you have something in your bag that they have to scan, they have to investigate, so they pull you aside for extra checks, and I had thought it was something completely different. I thought it was like my vape that I had in my carry-on bag. I thought that was maybe it. But no, you want to know what they flagged me for and pulled me aside to check?
What?
My cane.
Yes, I know. Now they do that.
I hate, like, what do you think this is, a bomb? No, I can't see.
You've been hiding the contraband inside of the cane.
Yeah, my cocaine's in my cane, I guess.
Have you seen that show where she hides the cocaine inside of the cane?
Yeah, yeah. Like, all of it made me so mad. Like, I had a person helping me. We had to pull over to the side where the table was doing the checks, and I asked her, I said, "Hey, I can't see. Can you tell me what they're looking at in my bag?" I whispered to her, and she goes, "It's," she couldn't find the word for a second. She goes, "It's your cane, your stick." And I was like, my God, I'm so annoyed because, I will just be honest. The vapes weren't nicotine. I was in a state where it was, things that adults can partake in,
Yeah.
and I thought they were after those, but no, it was my cane the whole time.
Wow.
That made me so mad.
Yeah, it's just like just making sure. You know how before now I think they take your cane and you have to take the put it in the little bag with your
Hmm.
computer and everything.
You have to have it scanned, yeah. One
I mean,
time, it was so funny. They had taken my cane, and usually someone just guides me through the machine where you have to put your feet across apart and put your hands up so it can scan you,
mhm.
They were guiding me, and this guy goes, "Do you need a cane, sir?" And I said, "Well, yeah, that would be nice. You got a temporary one I can use?" And he hands me just a regular old walking cane. And this woman, bless her heart, she goes, "Sweetie, you don't need that. I'll just help you right through this way." And I could hear her whisper under her breath, "Dumbass," to the guy,
Oh my
and I
goodness.
started cackling.
Have you ever gotten the question, can you take off your shoes when you're, going through TSA? Is that gonna be a problem?
Yeah, and I'm like, "No, I know how to take off my shoes. That's okay. Here you go."
I know I've gotten that question, like, would that be a problem? And one time the guy is like, well, you know what? You don't have to take off your shoes. Don't worry. They'll understand. I'm like, dude, like, okay, I don't care, honestly, if I don't have to take off my shoes, but
Honestly, I'd probably just be like, "All right, cool," because one thing I do hate is having to put the puzzle back together that is my outfit.
right. That's always a mission, the jacket, especially if you're layered up, your shoes, your bag, I don't know, the computer. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah. And then in my head, I got anxiety, so I'm just sitting here like, oh my God, someone's behind me waiting on me to get done and get the heck out of the way, and I'm being slow. I keep having a panic in my mind.
Yeah, because there's like just so many people, and everyone, you just feel like everyone feels rushed and everyone's just like running around. It's just like so chaotic in airports, especially.
It is. So let me ask you a question. What is the question that you were often asked about your blindness that annoys you the most?
I think that annoys me the most.
Yeah.
I think how much can you see just because, like, if they ask you, oh, can you see, or how much can you see? It's like, oh my God, you're gonna make me try and explain it to you when I don't know, like, what do you want to hear?
Yeah, that one I find just tedious. Most of the time, I don't mind giving them some sort of answer, even though it's hard to explain, like how I see to someone in the way that I feel that they'll understand. I never really think that sighted people really get it unless they go through something and have to experience it. But the only questions that I can't stand are the really, 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 really dumb ones. Dumb to the point of disrespectful, like with self hygiene or other adult activities.
Oh, actually, now that oh my God, you brought it up, I had to think about it and I was like, that wasn't a good one. But the one where they ask you who picked your outfit or who did your makeup or your hair. Oh my gosh, dude, I'm about to fight somebody right there. Like, why are you thinking that I can't do that kind of stuff?
Right? Like I dress to me, or I'll have friends a lot of times ask me, and sometimes the question might be no if I have two shirts that feel exactly the same. So I might be wrong, but times out of 10, the way I organize my clothes, my outfits, I know what I'm wearing.
Yeah, right.
Like I know which shirt I'm wearing. I know how it feels. I know how it fits. I organize them in a certain way, or it's a color that I can see.
Right. Yeah, I think in the closet I do that. Like I put all my blacks in one end and your whites and yeah, everything else, and especially the ones that are like say prints and stuff, that all probably go together. But thinking that blind people don't have fashion sense, like, oh yeah, I just grab, whatever's in my closet, put it on, and hopefully that I look presentable enough to the public that
We on top of it. We know how to dress. We can't see. That doesn't mean we can't dress ourselves.
Right, or have a sense of fashion, like, people always like, "Oh my god, like, that outfit, it just looks so good. I can't
Why you
believe
act
it.
so
You put
surprised?
it together." I went to my sister's sweet 16, and I had this dress, and I loved it because like, it's all shiny rose gold, and everyone kept
Ooh.
asking my mom, where did you get her that dress?" And it was like, "Excuse me, but I bought it myself. Thank you very much. I'm glad you like it."
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for the compliment, but I can find clothes myself. Thank you.
Or when they ask somebody else, right, that could see and you're, like, right there, I'm like, "Right."
Oh my God, I hate that. I had that happen to me a while back at a family function. Like a family friend had like asked they for some reason he asked the people that I was with if I remembered him. Like he didn't address me. And I'm like, "Yeah, I remember you. I'm right here. I can't see doesn't mean I can't answer a simple question."
Right, and it's funny because everyone always says, like, "Do you remember me?" And, like, sometimes I will remember people, but, if you never seen them in a while, you don't remember their voice.
Yeah,
So
I'm bad at remembering people I haven't ran into in person in a while. But even though I can remember voices really well, if it's been a while, you gotta forgive me.
yeah, because I mean, people, if they see faces, I'm pretty sure they forget too, but that's something that I was gonna say. But other than that, did you ever go through like a denial phase, like thinking like, oh, I mean, just in terms of like, oh, I don't want to be, part of the blind community.
Yeah, I didn't. It took me a lot, like with my cane, like with using my cane on a regular basis. It took me a long time to be okay with it. Like I tried a couple of times in the beginning, and I just felt like I was being judged by the people who hadn't weren't used to seeing me with a cane or haven't needing that. And so I was like, oh, they're gonna think I'm faking. They're gonna think I'm milking it for some reason. And that got me hurt a couple of times, like just from falling and things like that happening because I wasn't using my cane. To the point where I finally was just like, it's time to use it. But I was in denial for a good minute about needing it.
I think yeah, I think that works for me too. Like especially during like high school, everyone is trying to fit in, and you want to be like a part of like your classmates' events and just like sports or whatever. And then it's like, oh, now I have to add a cane into the mix in terms of like now I have to find a way to like literally I stand out, and everyone's just like because they are watching you, but it doesn't really matter now that you're older, right? Like all those embarrassing like you trip and then you fall. Like I think I did twist my ankle once, and it was like I didn't have to do all that and just embarrass myself like that.
Yeah, been there. I have twisted the heck out of my ankles.
Yeah, I think accepting especially a cane, I mean, I feel like people with like that have guide dogs are more, people love dogs and they always, "Can I pet your dog?" But the cane is more like people do get out of your way, but I feel like they don't want to get converse with you as like whereas when you have a dog, they come up to you and they could start a conversation.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the cane is a lot more of a put off for people. I
But
don't
I
know
think
why, but it seems like it.
I don't know why, it's just a stick, but I think if
I
you
think we're
use
gonna
a
beat them with it.
For real. I swear they should put a taser up in those canes actually just to make me feel safe. Because I think that's why I want a guide dog one day, just because more of a German Shepherd, because it makes me feel safe just being with a big, tough dog. And
Same.
yeah, but other than that, I feel like I've been debating because I feel like you could maybe lose that awareness or that independence. Whereas when you're walking, you're focused on your route. And then when you're walking, you're focused on like the turns and telling the dog where to go, but you're not focused on obstacles or anything that's going to get you into, like, to your desk in front of you, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I've definitely thought about that too. It's my plan to, eventually when I get out of this area and I'm in an environment that makes sense to have a guide dog. Because right now, because of my circumstances, I like, not to sound like a downer, but I don't get to get out much
Right,
unless
right.
someone is willing to drive me. But if I was in an area that had good public I'd be going nonstop, which would be much suitable for a guide dog because I would need one. But around here, it would be a dog 98% of the time and a guide 2% of the time.
Right. I think
And I feel like that's a waste.
that's important to know too, that you realize that, because sometimes people don't travel, and why would you? It's a working dog. They go through, like, hours of training, and yeah, you have to get out there and work the dog so they could be stimulated.
Exactly. I feel like um it would a good fit right now because they not that I think they would like lose that training, but it would definitely be out of practice after a while.
Yeah, that would be kind of sad, and I think it makes the dog sad too, because I mean they like to be a dog, but they also like to work, just like just like how some people too, like they like to work and they like their downtime.
Exactly.
Um,
But one day,
yeah, yeah, one day hopefully. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, job hunting. How, like, feel like in terms of like dealing with blindness and job hunting, I think that is something a lot of us struggle with.
yeah, it's definitely difficult. I've been on the job hunt for a while now. I still plan to go back to grad school when I find the right program and get all that together. I've had some pretty bad experiences with like higher education, specifically with like taking the GRE. But when it comes to job hunting, I've been focusing on it. Definitely believe in the hopes of being a little bit vague, but I definitely believe that my vision has been a factor of not getting jobs like, quite a few times. Even for jobs I was very qualified for, no one's gonna, most of the time, not no one, but a lot of times, if they can help not giving you that straight up answer that, yeah, it's because you're blind or because your vision problems, they'll give you some other, non related answer. But in the back of your mind, you're like, no, I have all these qualifications, all this experience. What other than my vision does the next person have over me? And I like not to sound cocky, sometimes in some situations there is just someone more qualified, but I definitely I definitely have had those situations where I know I was right for the job, if that makes sense. I hope that doesn't sound bad.
No, it actually does make sense. I think sometimes you just, because like, oh, I've done all this, and if it correlates with the job, it would make sense that. But I think also it's like a lot of networking, and sometimes people that know each other or have connections, they will get the job rather than you would.
Yeah, yeah, that and this with this specific situation, I kind of felt like I was that person that had the connection because I had a lot of really esteemed people in my field putting in good words for me, and it just felt like, dang, at the end of the day, my vision was still too big of a barrier. But not to be completely non-hopeful. I am still on the push. I've put in another job application just Wednesday. What's today? Friday? Yeah.
Yep.
It would have been no, it would have been yesterday. I just put in a job application. So fingers crossed for a stroke of luck because
You got it. Yeah.
I felt, I don't know how, I know you just had one. I don't know if you've
Yes.
heard anything, but I'm just like, my mood is if someone just gives me the ball, I am ready to run with it. I'm just looking for an opportunity, a chance.
That's what I think. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I used to be like, where, a lot to where I'm passionate about things that I really enjoy. But then I'm all like, experience, it doesn't matter. Our opportunity would come. And then if we go higher, it would be amazing. But, you got to get, like, I think being humble is something that I've learned through the whole job hunt.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. It's definitely important to stay humble. You know, you want to be confident, but not cocky.
Yeah, I think like I was like, yeah, I deserve these ones and I'm not gonna apply to the other ones, but it's like all jobs are jobs and they pay
Apply to
you.
them all.
Yeah, apply to them all. It doesn't really matter. And especially if you got somebody to vouch for you or a connection, use it because this job market is
It's
rough.
rough. It's a cutthroat, especially with like upper level jobs that require, a lot of experience or education. It is a competitive world with jobs like that. So don't think that, don't rule any options out. Try for whatever, have confidence in yourself, and just remember to stay humble. You're not too good for anything, and you're not always the best for everything, but also believe in yourself and go after not just every job you see, but also the ones that you really desire. Take a risk and be like, this, I feel like maybe this is far fetched, but I'm still gonna go for it. Just like this job, I feel like I have a good chance. I'm gonna go for the long shot too.
Yeah, and if it matches your values at least, then yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Take a chance because eventually, I mean, ableism is definitely a real thing. Just like all the isms, they're never not going to be a factor because that's how humans are, but we have to, we can't just let that stop us from chasing a dream. You got to keep trying to crack at it until you find your opportunities.
Yeah, you heard it. You heard it from us.
Exactly.
But yeah, like I've heard like, when should you disclose your blindness in a job interview?
That's
And
a hard question.
I had a job coach and she was like, "Well, if be honest and just put it out there." I was like, "I don't know, because in this world it's not like that."
Yeah, I go back and forth of where I think I've been straight up the past few times. But to be honest, I constantly have the thought in the back of my head of should I have kept this to myself? Should I have left this paragraph off of my cover letter that mentions my disability? Should I just have told them in the interview or um, after it was, apparent or if it was brought up or asked about? But I've been going with the straight up upfront approach. To be determined if that turns out to be a good idea.
Oh my gosh. Well, I've heard that a lot of sales jobs, if you're a good salesman or salesperson, that they'll hire you regardless if you are disabled or not. So if you know how to
Mhm.
persuade people, go to sales.
If you got anything above a plus 17 in persuasion,
Right, right. That's what they say. Because in my resume, I have so many things. Like I volunteered for a lot of like blind organizations, and then
hmm
like sometimes the job coach would be like, I think we should take these off or leave them on, just depending on what job you're applying. I'm like, I don't even like to move around my resume because once you move something, everything gets moved around. That's something that's accessibility wise.
oh my God,
Resumes
yeah,
are blind, the worst thing you could work on when you're blind.
horrible. There's no way I always have to get someone to help
To
because
look at it.
I feel like anytime I try to edit it, it's completely discombobulated. And I'm like, I have no clue what I just did or why things are so rearranged.
Yeah, the fonts get like changed, the centered, and oh my god, it's too crazy.
It's too much. Too
For real.
much.
So, have you had any like embarrassing, funny blind moments?
Oh yeah, for sure. But now I gotta activate my memory to think of one. I mean, I've ran into I've run slap dab into doors at times when there was like a group of people right there, stuff like that. I've had a lot of moments where like maybe the moment wasn't funny because I did something embarrassing, but it was just there was this one time where I was on another plane to take it back to planes. I've had a lot of experiences at airports and on planes, but I remember this flight attendant had came up to me and she saw my cane and she goes, "Sir, you can't have your ski pole on the plane." And I just cracked my friend up because I was out with a blank look on my face. I go, "This is my cane. Why would I have one ski pole?" And it was really late. I wasn't trying to make her feel bad, but I feel like the lady felt bad after that,
I bet she did.
which I felt bad for, but I was just like, ugh, do I really have to sit here?
That's so funny.
Yeah, I've had a lot of experiences like that. And there was this really funny time where I was at a conference and we were having this event at Wembley. No, wait, not Wembley Stadium. Fenway Park, and we were having this event and we were getting to watch the the baseball game, and the person was helping me. They put us so far. They put us so far up in the nosebleed seats, and I was walking. I made this my friend who was helping me up there really laugh. I was like, I could hear one of the pigeons chirping, and I was like, wow, they really put the blind guy as high as the pigeons sit, huh? And they started laughing. I was like, that if I fall down here, who's gonna who's gonna cover the bill? Because
Oh
we
my
were
god.
high. But yeah, there's some of my funny stories. I'm blanking on like general embarrassing ones. Can you think of any of yours?
I think the embarrassing one time I was, waiting in line, I think, at a boba spot. Have you ever had a
Boba.
boba?
Oh yeah, I love.
Yeah, I was waiting there and I was like, "Oh my god, that's when I used to have anxiety. I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm here like I don't know where this cuz you're supposed to get your own straw." And they
Right.
just put the cup there and I was like, "Oh my god, I don't know if I'm going to find it." So I get up there and I think I know where the straws are. I put my hand like inside the tip jar so it looks like I'm gonna take the tip money that before leaving in there, and then the lady comes and she's like, "Oh, can I help you?" And I said, "Oh, I'm just looking for a straw." Oh my gosh. And another one is like I was in the movie theater and it's dark and my friends were there and I was like and they're like, "Yeah, the person you're looking for is like up front. You just walk." Oh no, they just left and I had to just find my way out or find a seat or something and I thought there was nobody in the seat and then
You sat
I
in someone's
I
lap.
almost know because I like to, feel the seat before I sit. So I touched somebody's leg and I was like, "Oh my god."
I've done that before. Okay, I could. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's heart wrenching, isn't it?
It is. I was like, "Oh, that's so embarrassing."
Now that makes me think of an embarrassing one. I was getting food at my uh school's cafeteria, and I was walking. I had a drink and something, and this person pulls out their chair and doesn't pull it back in, so my cane gets caught on it, and I trip and just throw my food in the floor and spill my drink all over me.
Oh my gosh.
I was furious. I was so mad, and I had to go back because, of course, I'm not to talk down on myself, but I love my food. I wasn't leaving there without my dang dinner with drink on me or not. I went back and got my order replaced,
That's good.
but it was very embarrassing to ask the girl to if I could please have a replacement while my shirt was soaking wet.
That's good.
Mm.
Imagine you're just like drenched and hopefully you didn't get food, but drink and whatnot. You go up there, it's like, can I get more? Can I get a replacement?
Yeah, I was like, that person left a chair out and I tripped. I was like, oh, I hate that I have to come up and talk to you right now.
That is so funny. See, that was a good one. I think it's good when you do podcasts because sometimes you get tripped out and you're like, until somebody says something, you're like, oh, you definitely gave me like some insight. Now I do remember what the funny moment or embarrassing moment I was thinking of trying to find in my head.
Yeah, sometimes like I don't know if it's my ADHD or anxiety, but even though I have done a lot of public speaking and I've done a lot of like interviews and stuff and talks and whatnot, but sometimes when people ask me questions, my brain just like turns off for a second. Like you could ask me a question about my childhood or like who I am as a person, maybe like, and I suddenly my brain will be like, I've forgotten everything about myself and everything I've ever done ever.
Those are hard questions. I feel like if somebody asks you on the spot, who are you as a person? Yeah, you're literally like, hold up. I gotta think about.
Yeah, and then when they ask about childhood experiences, I'm like, now I can't remember a single thing. My brain is blank.
I honestly agree with you. I can't remember a lot of my childhood experiences, and people say, how can you not remember? I just don't.
Yeah, yeah. Like I was old enough, again, not to bring it as a sad note, but I was definitely old enough to remember where I was at like major events like 9/11, for example. I was definitely old enough to remember, but I don't. Like I do not remember where I was. I'm pretty sure I was just in school,
I think
but
I
I don't
was.
have a specific memory.
Yeah, I was just in school as well, and obviously we're kids. We didn't like think how what happened. It's crazy. We just like sat there like listening to the news or the overcome of people talking.
Exactly. But yeah, it's just a very fuzzy time. I don't barely remember anything about it.
Yeah, but now we know it was really, really tragic and it really changes everything.
Oh yeah, especially again, back to flying. Changed
Yes,
everything about flying.
it did, right? So I think we reached the segment where I'm gonna ask. It's called Let's Unfilter This. Do you have anything that you need to unfilter that you've like held on to and you're like, I feel like this is like needs to be unfiltered at this moment?
Ooh, let's see. Sure, there's a lot of stuff I can rant about. The world be pissing me off.
All right, all right.
Well, okay, so what do you mind if it's political?
It doesn't matter.
It
Thing that
doesn't
you
matter?
it that could be unfiltered that you were willing to share on this podcast.
Okay, well, for all the people who have disabilities, we are mad at you able-bodied people because our it is very likely that the next 4 years are going to see some very, very drastic and damaging changes for those of us who have disabilities and are on social services type of assistance. So if you have a disability, if you have a person with a disability in your life that you care about and you voted for Trump, just know that you let them down. And it really fucking pisses me off that how much I told family members like, hey, he's wanting to come after my livelihood, after Social Security. Like, yes, he's wanting to do a lot of other things, and it's probably further down the list, but it is a part of what he wants to do. And it's like it ticks me off. You say you care about me, but then you vote against my safety and my ability to.
Ooh, that's a good one. There we go. This is the thing that needed to be unfiltered. Yes, I think that is something that yeah, a lot of people like posting and saying like, "Oh my gosh, these 4 years are gonna be rough." And yeah, I agree. If there was more of a safety net for like if more blind people were able to work and it'd be so simple to get jobs. It's like not all like blind people that are in Social Security are just wanting or willing to just receive that what you get, but I don't know.
Exactly. Like, it's not that we don't. It's not that all of us just that are on Social Security don't want to work. Like I want to work. I have been trying and trying, and I think that's the majority of blind folks that I've met. I mean, it's okay if like you are on disability and you are content with your life and you have a disability that requires and makes it necessary to have that assistance, and you're spending your life doing something else that you're passionate about and or whatever makes you happy. I'm not here to judge, but for me, and I think a lot of people, like we want to in our chosen fields and focuses we want to be able to contribute something to society and to the world. I think that's why I wanted to be a helper. I think that's why that I get involved with advocacy. Speaking of which, after this, I have going to share an organization, a blind organization with you that you should look into because they do a really good program that I think you would like.
Oh, that would be great.
But we want to have an impact in this world, either by speaking about ableism, which I've done a lot to try and have some sort of impact of lessening that stigma and discrimination, or making someone feel less alone that goes through it. So like it, yeah, it's just why pull the rug out of out from under some people's feet when there's no safety net there and it's already so hard to find a job. Like, yeah,
I totally
mind
agree
boggling.
what you say that, if you're comfortable and you could live within the social security means, I think it's a good safety net for now, like for people if they're happy, if they have like a family and they're just living their life as long as it's like they're fulfilled. But yeah, as everybody has passions, but sometimes, there's other we don't know what people are going through, and it's rough out there like everyone says.
It is.
Yeah, like it's gonna that's we'll see what happens, but in the end, I don't think nothing crazy will get done. I think it's honestly it's a lot of talk. I feel like a lot of presidents like to talk,
Yeah,
but
he definitely likes to. He loves talk.
I feel like he could be like a show, like, it's like a freaking talk show, and he's just talking and making triggering people and getting everyone riled up. I
Yeah,
think he
I think
like
that's the best scenario. Also, I just, not to get too political, but
right,
he's surrounded himself with other people with just as big of egos, and
right.
that's hard to get big egos to coexist. So, the best scenario is everybody just argues and fights, and
That's
nothing
what I
drastic gets done.
That's what I'm saying. We'll just see what happens, right? I mean, all you could do is just like live your life and just enjoy it. I mean, don't let the election like put a damper, put a dark curtain
Yeah,
in
no,
your life.
keep trying. We will, whatever happens under whatever regime. Lean on your people and be gentle and kind with yourself and just keep trying to go after what you're going after.
I think I agree. A community is really important, and if you're like newly blind, don't forget about the blind community. I mean, it's cool to be with your like sighted friends, and yeah, but I think you still need to relate to people that are you need both. You need both of them to really accept yourself and remember what you're going through.
Exactly. And like, there's blind support groups. There's the blind support group, blind and visually impaired support group on Instagram and TikTok while it's still around. And there's like the organization I was going to share with you. I'll just share it right here. That way other people can be knowledgeable about it. But there's a organization called Prevent Blindness, and they have a group. It's called the Aspect. They have a program called the Aspect Program, and it's all about blind advocacy, learning how to use your story as a tool, gaining good public speaking skills. They do a cohort, like I think it's twice a year, and they usually have like two cohorts going at once. So look into them online. Prevent Blindness Aspect Program, and it's a free program to join, interview you, and then you'll go through a few. I can't remember exactly how many months it is. I think it's about 6 or 4. No, 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 no. It's about like 3 or 4 months of training, and then you will be hooked up into a network of other blind folks with either your condition or other conditions, and there's a lot of opportunities to get involved. So check it out.
Yeah, definitely. I think I would definitely check that out. Everybody check it out. And you said you do speaking engagements. Do you still do that?
I do when I can. I recently gave a speech about my experience with ableism. I am definitely open to speaking if anybody happens to listen to this and wants a blind person's perspective. Mainly, that's how I've traveled in the past 10 years, as I've been, going to conferences, being involved in mental health, recovery, activism, advocacy, blind related stuff, and other things, and just um, any opportunity I could get to speak or to be at conferences to listen to people speak, I've gone. I really love public speaking. Some people don't. It definitely still triggers my anxiety, but if it's something I'm knowledgeable about and passionate about, I'm good at running my mouth.
I love it. Yeah, I think that's what it is. If you're not passionate about something, it's like I don't want to talk about it. But if it like really you feel that energy and passion, yeah, same here. I love to talk and I love to share experience. Like even he listen to other people. It's fun. That's why I think I made this podcast.
Yeah, yeah, I love listening. I'm a good listener. I think that's one of the big things that I account I relate to my qualifications of being a good therapist one day is my ability to actively listen. So I love going to conferences for that. You get to hear so many different perspectives and takes and learn a lot. So if you're a college student, especially a visually impaired slash blind college student or college student with a disability in general, if you have an opportunity to travel in college, take it. Like look into opportunities at your school to travel. Look into they'll pay for you to go to conferences. And like if you are in like psychology, they'll pay for you to go to do research and go to conferences to present it. So look into that stuff. Look into those opportunities.
Yeah, that does sound so interesting. Yeah, I think traveling is amazing. And if you can get free travel, even going to like the NFB conventions and all that stuff, just
Which I've never been to one of
me
those. I
either.
want to.
Me either. I want to go just because I've never done it, but I know a lot of people that have gone. Maybe next year we'll coordinate
Yeah, we should. We should definitely go.
or
I
get a
am.
group or get.
Yeah, we need more people to go. Even though you may not like fully align with all the beliefs of the organization, I think their conferences are one of the best to like really network with other blind folks.
Yeah, network and then just see the new experience wherever it's gonna be at and just have a good time after, just take a vacation.
Exactly. We can't beat that.
So where can people find you on TikTok? What's your
Okay.
handle?
Yeah, my TikTok on, I mean, ugh, my handle on literally everything is the Caneman 430. That's all one word, no underlines, no one word, lowercase, the Caneman 430. That'll be my TikTok until that goes away, but it's my Lemonade, it's my Blue Sky, it's my Instagram, it's my Twitch, YouTube, and all that. I will probably be trying to post more on Blue Sky and YouTube and Instagram if TikTok is not long for our daily realities. So find me there, and maybe if Lemonade becomes the new um, gathering place of TikTokers, maybe that'll become the next place that I will be posting a lot more. But you can find me all over
All
the K-Man
right.
430.
Blind man, what? Blind Cane Man 430. Oh my goodness.
The K-Man
The
430.
Cane Man. Oh my gosh. But yeah, you even have Blue Sky. Everyone's been moving over there. I think I should just give it a try because
You should. It's a lot better environment than Twitter, but
you think so?
I think so for so far.
All right. So, any last words of advice before we go that you would like anybody, even blind people, anybody that's just like for anybody?
Never stop pushing for your dreams, even if it feels like the universe or the fields that you're trying to break into don't want you there, because we need people of all perspectives and all different kind of professions. Blind people specifically, we need blind scientists, we need blind therapists, we need blind at all the jobs that we can do. We belong there. We need to take up that space, and that's not just for blind people, but people with disabilities. We need all sorts. So get out there and push for it, and don't stop until you make it.
That's right. Keep going. Push for your dreams. Don't let nobody tell you can't do it or fight for your dreams. Advocate for yourself and have an amazing day, y'all. Thank you for listening